It all kicks off at high school number 7 in the city of Jiangzhou. While the class is chilling, a kid sleeping in the back of the room suddenly pops his head up. With a jump scare, the MC wakes up totally shocked and gasping for air. Without a second thought, he violently kicks his desk, yelling that he refuses to accept this setup. Totally lost, Qunfan stares at his own hands, trying to figure out if this place is the underworld. Right on cue, the other students start laughing their heads off at him. One classmate mocks him, asking if this trash was dreaming about the time he got booted from the Qun family. Ignoring the jokes, the kid checks himself out and realizes he's still breathing. He looks at the desk thrown on the floor and clearly remembers getting totally wrecked in the worst way possible. As it clicks, he realizes he actually went 500 years back in time. Right back to the absolute lowest point of his life, when his folks had just been cut off by the clan. Back then, a trust fund prep named Wang Zijin and the MC's fiancé went out of their way to humiliate him over the expulsion. After that, his parents actually managed to build a business from scratch to bounce back. But his second uncle set up a cowardly trap, getting them both thrown behind bars without a second thought. In the end, they passed away full of resentment because of that massive injustice. As if that wasn't enough, the Du family also bullied the kid and seriously messed up his legs. And the absolute worst part was getting his girlfriend Yinuo involved, which ended up leading the girl to an early grave. Just when he was about to cross over to the other side, his master popped up out of nowhere in the rain. The old man claimed Qunfan was the chosen one by the heavenly path. With that, he followed the master to the cultivation world and grinded hard for a whole century. Breaking all the limiters, he ended up becoming the one and only mortal holy emperor of that era on the continent. He only had to pass the final lightning trial to finally reach immortality. However, he ended up losing to his own inner demon, born from his hatred, and got consumed. But the plot twist came right after, as he realized that divine trial gave him the chance to live a second time. Overcome by a mix of relief and pure rage, he starts laughing like a total maniac right in the middle of the classroom. Seeing that bizarre scene, his classmates whisper, thinking the guy totally lost his marbles. Annoyed by the interruption, the teacher warns he's going to teach him a lesson to wake him up to reality. With a dark look, the kid promises that this time he won't let a single regret from the past slide. The teacher slams the desk hard, cracking an imaginary whip to get everyone's attention. Ignoring the noise, Qunfan swears his second uncle doesn't even dream he got a chance to hit the reset button on everything. Spooked by the student's vibe, the teacher steps back a bit, while the class has no clue what's going on. The MC notices his current body is still way too weak to circulate spiritual energy properly. Getting his act together, the educator demands immediate silence from the class. He scolds them, saying that kind of clowning around isn't acceptable in a college prep class. Wanting to stir the pot, a student snitches that Qunfan was sleeping and woke up screaming out of nowhere. Taking the cue, the teacher insults the kid, calling him mannerless and trashing his looks. In silence, the young man remembers how that exact same guy treated him like garbage when he got cut off by his family. Having zero patience, the teacher tells him to get out of the room and stand in the hallway as a timeout. Already catching the hypocrisy, Qunfan flashes a cynical smile and asks if an elementary diploma makes him better than everyone else. Shocked by the audacity, the man is left speechless seeing a student clapping back like that. Shaking with anger, the boomer yells, asking if the punk has any idea who he's talking to. Calmly, the kid throws it in his face that he's just the principal's relative who lives off taking favors from rich folks. The man panics and tells him to shut his mouth, right then and there, visibly triggered by the truth. Flashing back to the past, the youth remembers he had no choice but to swallow that power trip in silence before. But letting him know things are different now, he listens to the teacher screaming that he's suspended for a whole week. Unbothered, Qunfan steps up, determined to collect all the debts from his past life with interest. The teacher thinks the suspension already fixed the issue and gets ticked off seeing the kid smiling so arrogantly. Wanting to rub it in even more, the old man reminds him that last time, his parents begged hard to keep him in school. Just hearing that, the youth takes a firm step forward, completely flipping his whole vibe. With a dead serious face, he asks how that man dares to insult his family. In a flash, he delivers a heavy backhand slap right to the teacher's face. From the impact, the man goes flying and crashes, wrecking a few desks and leaving everyone totally shook. Glancing over his shoulder, the MC warns that anyone who crosses his path is going to catch the same hands. Down on the floor, the educator cries in pain and promises he's going to get him expelled for that aggro move. Ice cold, Qunfan replies he only caught that one single hit because of the good upbringing his folks gave him. The boomer keeps groaning in the corner of the room, totally humiliated in front of the whole squad. Walking out of there, the kid reflects that he still doesn't have enough power in his hands and needs to focus on leveling up fast. Half an hour later, he arrives at the most run-down, forgotten part of town. Walking through the narrow streets, he admits to himself he never imagined stepping foot in there again after so much time. Last time, it was thanks to that old house left by his grandma that his family managed to get a roof over their heads to survive. As soon as he gets there, he spots his parents working hard in the backyard. Worried, his dad drops his tools and asks why he came back from school so early. Meanwhile, his mom rushes over, wanting to know if someone was messing with him on the street. Overcome with emotion, Kinfan gives them both a huge hug, saying he missed their presence way too much. In his past life, because of his uncle's schemes, he didn't even get the chance to say goodbye before they passed on. His parents are totally confused by that sudden, intense display of affection. Patting his son on the back, the old man jokes that a guy always needs to stay strong. Wiping his face, the kid agrees and promises that this time he's going to protect them tooth and nail. Just then, a luxury car pulls up right in front of the humble house, catching everyone's attention on the street. Recognizing the arrogant figure stepping out of the ride, the MC's face drops instantly. It's Zhou Yihang, the head of the Zhou group and the same ungrateful snake who backstabbed his family in the past. The kid's dad greets the wealthy dude in a friendly way, wanting to know the reason for the surprise visit. Killing the vibe, the suit tells his daughter not to waste time talking to people on that level. The girl in the fancy dress agrees, saying her ex, Fine Tai, isn't even worth a glance. Ignoring the free shade, Kinfan just stares at the duo in total silence, already plotting his next moves. Shamelessly, Zhou Yihang points a finger and announces, he came to cancel the engagement for good. The MC just listens to the rich guy say that people from different worlds don't mix. Rejecting the offer right away, he warns that the two of them don't have the stats to measure up to him in this lifetime. Seaman gets offended by the rejection and calls the guy a toad trying to eat swan meat. His mom steps up for her son and angrily asks if old man Joe came all the way there just to talk trash. At that, the rich guy fakes being polite by telling his daughter to mind her manners, then rubs it in their faces that they're no longer part of the main clan. Standing his ground, Kinfan reminds him that the one who helped the Just in the past was his own dad. He lists out that all of that ungrateful family's venture capital and connections came thanks to that help. Being super fake, Joe tries to cool things down, saying he just wants to protect the kid's future. Ending the act, the girl offers 10 million for the marriage contract, while her dad pretends to scold her. The youth glares at them with disgust and asks if they're trading their daughter like some cheap product. Losing her patience, the spoiled princess points her finger and tells him to stop trying to milk a useless piece of paper. She quickly tries to slap his face, insulting him as someone who isn't worthy of her. In a flash, the kid blocks the attack, gripping her arm tight. Squeezing the girl's wrist, he guarantees that if his parents weren't there, the two of them wouldn't be walking out of that place in one piece. Feeling the pressure, the girl groans in pain and is totally shocked by the trash's insane strength. With zero patience left, the MC shoves her to the ground and tells them both to get lost. While helping his daughter up, Joe realizes their rep will tank if this story leaks. Trying to save face, the man swallows his rage and insists he came in peace to talk. To block the rich snobs, the youth demands 100 bowing apologies from the girl and swears to completely wreck their family's influence. He asks his family for a vote of confidence and watches the wealthy duo turn their backs. Walking to the car, the princess whines about wanting to get rid of the trash, but her dad says they'll back off for now. Furious about the massive fail, the suit wonders how that cowardly kid managed to ruin the whole master plan. He promises his daughter he has plenty of other ways to deal with lowlifes like them. In Joe's head, the punk is only acting so cocky because of that freaking contract. Already inside the luxury ride, the man tells the driver to step on it, promising a miserable end for all three of them. The imported car quickly disappears through the streets of the run-down neighborhood. Staring at the empty street, Kunfan realizes he'll need to strike first before the rich snobs make a comeback. Worried, his mom touches her son's arm and mentions how his attitude did a complete 180. Turning to his folks, he calmly explains there's no way they can keep living the old way anymore. With his hands wrapped around his mom's, the MC swears that nobody is ever gonna walk all over them again. Faced with that heavy promise, the two of them are left completely speechless. Tearing up, the woman gives her son a tight hug and says he'll always be their biggest pride. Returning the love, the young man promises their family's life is going to take a massive turn from here on out. During the night, he parkours across the city rooftops, determined to rewrite the rules of this world. Noticing that Earth's spiritual energy is super weak, the kid decides to look for a decent spot to grind. With a clean jump, He lands smoothly on the ledge of a tall building. Standing under the moonlight, the youth takes a deep breath. While scanning the area, spotting a flow of energy nearby, he hypes up his crazy luck for finding a good spot so fast. Down at the city park, a bluish aura starts swirling around him near the lake. Sitting in a lotus pose, he absorbs the environment's power and notes it'll be enough to level up. Mid-process, the cultivator realizes that losing his old OP stats wasn't a total flop. In the past, rushing to level up ended up making his base super unstable and led him straight to a game over. This time, he's focused on building a flawless foundation from scratch to reach true immortality. As morning breaks, his deep meditation keeps going smoothly among the trees. Suddenly, a blast of mystic aura pushes the water away from the rock. Opening his eyes intensely, the kid's pupils glow in a shining golden shade. Hyped by the surprise, he clenches his fists after realizing he unlocked the flaming golden eyes. Standing up, he figures that even with his low cultivation, that vision skill is going to come in clutch. Nearby, an older guy practicing martial arts finds the kid's vibe super sketchy but interesting. Moving his arms smoothly, the boomer comments on how rare it is to see young people meditating so early. The MC stretches out and casually replies he was just soaking in nature's energy. The old man tells him to make himself at home, while the kid decides to head back before his folks wake up. Watching the youth walk away, the elderly master gets a super intrigued look about the guy. Right then, a bodyguard in a suit walks up and asks if he should run a background check on the sus kid. Waving off the idea, the old man focuses on what matters and asks what time his granddaughter is getting back from her trip. Hearing her flight lands soon, the old guy gets excited to hang out with the girl. Pulling up to his front gate, Kunfan calls out that he's already back. He hands a bag to his mom, using the excuse that he went for a run and grabbed breakfast on the way. On the other side of town, a thug watches the kid from a distance and confirms the target on his phone. Full of bad intentions, the goon takes the job over the phone, thinking the target is just some harmless punk. The scene cuts to the Joe family's massive mansion in broad daylight. Chilling on the sofa like she owns the place, the spoiled princess orders her goons over the phone to make the kid suffer slowly. At the humble house, the mom grabs her son's arm in a panic after getting a call from the school. Telling her to chill, the youth explains he just taught the teacher a lesson for disrespecting their family. With a determined look, he guarantees that in 3 days, the principal will come crawling to apologize. The parents are completely lost by the kid's audacity after hearing that crazy talk. The second he turns his back, his mom asks where he's going, and he says he's going to use his time off to train. Justifying his exit, the MC claims he needs to get strong ASAP to protect the house. Watching his son walk out the gate, the dad looks amazed at his massive glow, up in attitude. Back at the park lake, the cultivator goes back to absorbing energy at an insane speed. Sweating bullets from the effort, he calculates he's super close to crossing the mortal limit. Nearby, the elderly master notices the youth's return, while the bodyguard feels a weird vibe in the air. Panicking, the guy in the suit warns that the atmosphere around them is getting sucked away super fast. Shook by that impossible glitch in reality, the old man's eyes go wide as he pieces together what's happening. Watching it all from afar, the old guy realizes in shock that the kid is actually cultivating. But the chill moment gets ruined by heavy footsteps stomping toward the spot. A squad of troublemakers rolls up, and the red-haired leader announces someone paid top dollar to teach the punk a lesson. Wrapping up his meditation, the MC dispels the energy aura around him without breaking a sweat. The thug steps up acting tough, claiming the kid's time is up, and that he missed having such an easy gig. Watching the drama unfold, the suited bodyguard asks if the boss wants him to handle it. Taking a sip of tea, the old man tells him to just watch first to see if the youth is actually built different. Annoyed at being ignored, the leader tells his goons to record everything perfectly to send to the client later. Rushing in with a bat in hand, he yells at them not to miss a single second of the target's screams of pain. Super confident, the redhead throws a heavy swing, swearing he's gonna make the kid beg for mercy in a split second. Realizing the attack only hit thin air, the thug gets totally mind blown by the dodge speed. With zero effort, Kunfan lands a clean hit that sends the big guy flying away screaming. Getting up from the ground casually, the cultivator comments that the squad showed up at the perfect time. Holding the enemy's weapon, he figures he just leveled up and really needed a warm-up anyway. Freaking out, another goon yells at his crew, demanding they all jump him at once since he's just a kid. Motivated by the bag, the crew rushes in, reminding each other the bounty is 200,000. With insane reflexes, the kid lands a lightning, fast bat swing and drops the first attacker. Giving him zero time to block, he combos into another crazy fast hit that makes the second goon drop screaming. Watching his boys get wiped out, the redhead panics, having zero clue how that's even possible. The bodyguard admits he's shocked by the punk's skills, and the old man cracks a smile. finding the whole thing super entertaining. Just then, a female voice calling for her grandpa echoes through the park and grabs the suited duo's attention. Surrounded by the dropped enemies, the youth tosses the weapon away, complaining they weren't even good for a warm-up. He drops his own name out loud, making it clear he's become someone nobody will ever dare mess with again. With a dark glare, the cultivator remembers that in his past life, that exact same gang also came after him. Back then, the cowards cornered him in a dark alley and bullied him with absolutely zero mercy. Yanking the leader by his hair, he perfectly remembers the thug telling him to stop trying to get involved with the Joe family. The memory of that evil smirk threatening to hurt his parents makes the MC's blood boil. Snapping back to the present, the redhead cries in terror, begging for his life and throwing all the blame on the rich snobs. Skipping the filler, Kinfan demands the payout money, and the shaking thug hands over the card with the PN. Pocketing the loot, he notes that the spoiled princess just wanted to silence him, guaranteeing her plan is going to be a massive flop. Suddenly, a girl comes running up and yells from a distance for him to stop what he's doing. The young Sichuan charges in furious, calling his move a crime, while her grandpa tries to chill her out but fails. Taking the opening, the redhead plays the victim and begs the pretty lady to save him from the attack. Having zero patience for the drama, the MC lands a heavy kick that sends the thug flying out of there. The gang leader face plants into the grass, groaning in pain from the massive impact. Seeing that sheer disrespect right to her face, the girl starts foaming at the mouth with rage over being completely ignored. Unbothered by her tantrum, the kid asks the camera goon if he managed to record everything in HD. Flexing the bank card, he tells the cameraman to let the rich girl know he's taking this cash off her hands. He promises he's gonna prep a huge surprise for their next meet-up, right as the girl jumps in to attack him. The bodyguard still tries to warn her it's all a misunderstanding, but the girl is already going on the offensive. Demanding he explain himself to the cops, she lunges in trying to land a direct hit. Dodging the high kick effortlessly, Kunfan critiques her form, saying it looks pretty but has zero actual power. With a simple counter, he pins the girl by twisting her back, making her thrash around while swearing non-stop. Desperate seeing his boss in danger, the security guard rushes in at top speed, ordering him to let her go right now. The suit throws a ridiculously heavy punch, but the youth blocks the impact using just the palm of one hand. Watching that insane block, the grandpa's eyes go wide, completely blown away. The pinned girl is also left in disbelief at the raw strength she's witnessing. Gripping the man's fist, Kinfan figures out he's a martial artist and that he threw the first punch. Since things escalated, the kid decides it's fine to go a little harder. With a devastating counter to the chest, he launches the guard backward, kicking up a huge dust cloud. The old man screams his employee's name in a panic as he watches him crash hard into the dirt. Shaking, the girl tries to process how an elite military district soldier just got completely outclassed like that. Her brain just can't compute seeing a high-tier warrior get one-shotted by some kid. To prevent an even bigger disaster, the old man rushes over and apologizes for both of their reckless moves. He makes the excuse that his granddaughter just got back from a trip and acted on impulse, thinking the kid was the villain of the story. The girl realizes he was only defending himself, and the MC confirms he just took the chance to confiscate the attacker's payout. Running for their lives in the background, the goons cry, screaming again that the Joe family forced them to do it. Tired of the drama, the kid lets go of the girl's wrists and gently pushes her away. In a sarcastic tone, he compliments her sense of justice but advises her to use it on the right person next time. The grandpa thanks the youth for his patience and asks for his name, hoping to make up for all the disrespect later on. Walking away, the kid says he's not interested in making friends, but decides to drop a tip since fate brought them together. Without looking back, he tells the old man to take his guard to the hospital and to go get an urgent medical check up for himself while he's at it. That super random and specific advice leaves the duo totally confused in the middle of the park. Thinking about the power he just saw, the old man concludes that to beat his bodyguard, the youth can only be a legendary grandmaster. The girl gets nervous, muttering that it's impossible for someone so young to already be such a rare martial arts prodigy. Fascinated, the old man confirms the guy is built different and sees him as a godsend opportunity for the Yi family. He's absolutely certain that this mysterious cultivator is going to be the most OP presence in the country's history. Far away from there, a phone gets violently smashed against the wall accompanied by a screeching scream of pure rage. In her fancy room, the spoiled princess wrecks everything in a fit after finding out her goons failed miserably. With an evil look, she wonders if that useless trash spent his whole life pretending to be weak. But she quickly gets her act together and declares that a few fighting tricks mean nothing against a clan's real authority. Holding a red lipstick, the mean girl mocks the idea of her ex, Fianti prepping a surprise. Touching up her makeup, she laughs, revealing her dad already set up the perfect trap, and she can't wait to see him begging for mercy. The next day, a rumor about a $6 million relocation payout is floating around the new neighborhood. During dinner at home, the MC happily listens to his mom suggest they use that cash to start their own business. Eating casually, Kyunfan remembers that his parents' seed money in his past life was the $10 million from the Joe family. Sus about the coincidence, he finds it sketchy that this relocation payout popped up right after he kicked the rich snobs out of there. While his mom is left totally confused, the kid firmly asks his folks to let him handle the transaction. Thinking $6 million is a massive lowball, the MC guarantees he's going to force the suits to cuff up a fair price. Later on, luxury cars start pulling up to a massive high-end casino in the city. Inside, the spoiled princess walks in dripping with elegance and gets praised by some guy over her exclusive dress. Hanging with the young master Sun Yiming, she thanks the simp, mentioning she prepped a lot for this event. The suit checks out the vibe and mentions the Ye family invited all the top-tier elites, making it the ultimate networking spot. Hype for the chance, the girl plans to steal the spotlight at the anniversary party of Jiangzhou's biggest underground casino. Just then, the guests start whispering in shock as they spot the former Kyun family heir betting big and actually winning. The dealer congratulates the player for sweeping $2 million in chips in a single round. Noticing the commotion, the kid turns his head and greets his ex-fiancée with a heavy dose of sarcasm. Holding a glass, he mentions he was actually looking for someone to play around with, leaving the girl totally blindsided. Next to her, Sun mocks the situation while the other snobs guess the kid went broke and came to try his luck out of pure desperation. Never losing his cool, the cultivator throws it in her face that his starting budget of $200,000 came straight from her generous sponsorship. Curious, Yiming asks if she knows the guy, but she plays it off, saying it was just some old business deal between their parents. Totally triggered, Schumann tries to roast the MC, claiming that place isn't for broke losers. Jumping into the beef, the prep boy assumes the Kyun family trash is trying to leech off his girl's kindness. Finding that claim hilarious, the youth questions the girlfriend title with a super mocking look. Right after, he pulls the marriage contract out of his pocket and offers to hand over the doc along with all his chips if the princess can beat him in a game. Threatening to expose the truth to everyone if she backs out, he gets a desperate scream out of the girl as she accepts the bet on the spot. Full of hate, she demands the kid disappear forever when he loses it all, while her +1 offers to teach him a lesson in her place. Hyped for the challenge, Kyunfan sets the rules for a dice roll where the highest score takes the crown. The suit accepts instantly, arrogantly warning that his opponent is digging his own grave. The crowd of rich folks around them laughs at the whole thing, saying young Master Sun is a literal god at these types of games. Super confident in his skills, the rich kid shakes the dice cup, promising to wipe the smirk off his rival's face. Across the table, the cultivator does the exact same move with unbreakable chill. With a fast flick, the prep slams the metal cup hard onto the betting table, revealing 26 points. He gets a round of applause from the guests, who think that's basically an unbeatable score. However, the ex-heir lifts his cup, showing max points, and apologizes for his opponent's terrible RNG. The dealer calls the win for the kid, leaving the rich heir fuming over losing by such a tiny margin. Scooping up the chips, the MC declares the bet is won and that his ex-fiancée took the L. Refusing to accept it, she calls it pure luck and demands a salty runback in a best-of-3 format. Agreeing to the terms, the cultivator takes the chance to raise the stakes by putting his own $6 million house on the line. Holding the property deed, he guarantees he'll sign the transfer right there if he gets beat. The princess is shook when she realizes that's the exact same amount her dad offered for the run-down spot. Looking to start a fire, Kyunfan invites anyone in the crowd to match the bets if the girl's money ain't enough. With their egos bruised, the duo takes the bait, and Sun guarantees his family will cover half the chips to bankrupt the rival once and for all. Now in the new round, the prep slams the cup violently and changes the rules so the lowest score takes the bag. Showing only 7 points total, he starts celebrating early, thinking the win is already in the bag. Telling the kid to go dig through the trash with his parents, he gets scared by a cynical smile from his rival. Lifting his cover, the MC reveals a flawless 6 points and asks super sarcastically who the real winner is. The rich duo goes into shock, realizing they lost again by a single point difference. Keeping his alpha energy, the youth mocks them, asking if they want to try a best-of-5 or even a best-of-7. Completely losing his mind, Yiming screams he's going to keep playing, because he refuses to accept that trash has infinite plot armor. The showdown drags on across the room, with the chips swapping sides non-stop in an absolutely brutal streak. After another round, the dealer announces the MC's win, who just stacked up an insane 1 billion in winnings, sitting in front of a literal mountain of cash. He sarcastically asks why the elites suddenly stopped laughing. The rich kid fully tweaks out, screaming it's literally impossible for them to lose every single match and calling the rival a hacker. Getting up to bag the prize, the cultivator is quickly cut off by the betting table staff. The guy in the suit politely asks the client to follow him to the reception room for a chat with the manager. Agreeing to go, the kid demands they swap his chips for cash first, but the worker just insists he follow him. Relieved by the save, the spoiled princess is 100% sure her ex signed his own game over screen by daring to cheat in such a dangerous zone. Walking into the luxury office, the youth is greeted by a squad of extremely unhappy security guards. Sitting like a boss, the casino manager cuts to the chase and tells him to confess how he modded the results. Cleaning his ear with zero care, Kyunfan blames it on RNG and claims the whole crowd can vouch for his clean gameplay. Not buying the cap, the boss points out how ridiculous it is for a broke guy with zero betting history to try and pull a clean sweep in his spot. Losing his patience, the suit orders his goons to attack to see just how much guts the punk really has. But before anyone even touches him, the cultivator unleashes a heavy blue aura, complaining about the terrible customer service. In another room of that same building, a mysterious guy talks smoothly on the phone, telling a girl to take good care of an old man's check-up. Getting interrupted right after, the mafia boss Jizu answers another call, annoyed about getting bothered with basic stuff. On the other end of the line, the casino manager begs for ansas with an absolutely terrified voice. Dropped on the floor of the wrecked office, the suit panics, reporting that an intruder just wiped out all the security in the building. Furious at the news, the big boss wants to know right now who had the nerve to cause trouble on his turf. Snatching the phone from the defeated guy's hand, Kyunfan introduces himself super chill and drops a warning that he's heading over to collect his bag from the owner directly. Strolling through the casino's outdoor area, he drags the manager along as a hostage while the guy swears the kid just picked a fatal fight. The beaten-up worker makes sure to flex that the Ye family is a top-tier military powerhouse, and no amount of apologies is going to save him now. Trying to deal some psychic damage, the suit guarantees the boss's personal guards are martial arts masters, completely outscale normal security. Not giving a single care about the threat, the cultivator replies he didn't come there to beat up NPCs, but to grab a useful ally. The idea of turning the Yi clan into a sidekick leaves the hostage mind blown at the kid's level of delusion. In silence, the MC figures that, despite their underworld ties, that family's reputation is way cleaner than his old relatives. In his past life, those mobsters never tried to sink his parents, and even kept business fair with them during the crash. Thinking ahead, he concludes that using the Yi clan as a shield is going to save him a massive headache while he focuses entirely on his grind. Just then, the sound of heavy boots and steel briefcases echoes through the courtyard of the massive luxury complex. A battalion of men in suits surrounds the duo in a flash, making the manager scream in relief, celebrating the backup. All the men in suits bow down instantly, welcoming Miss Arcune with maximum respect. Completely paralyzed by that glitch in the Matrix, the manager screams, having zero clue what's going on, while the kid just watches the whole thing totally chill. Right then, a man in an overcoat rushes over, begging for forgiveness over the weak reception and explaining it took a minute to scrape together all that cold hard cash. He signals for the goons to crack open the briefcases packed with stacks and presents the 1 billion prize the youth just farmed in the bets. Still unable to process the visuals, the worker stutters, asking why the boss is treating a Kyun family outcast like royalty. Having zero patience for the disrespect, the mobster snaps at the manager, telling the idiot to shut his mouth right then and there. Furious, he orders them to get that disrespectful clown out of his sight immediately and fire him under the family's strict military code. While the guy gets dragged away crying for mercy, the suit formally introduces himself as Jizu, the fourth son of the clan and owner of that casino. Apologizing for his minion's behavior, the boss promises he'll do literally anything the kid asks to make up for the mess. The MC asks if this is their first time meeting, and the mobster confirms, but points out that the youth's dad was a massive MVP for the Yi family. Curious about the lore drop, the cultivator asks if he's talking about the old patriarch of that clan. At that exact second, the loud noise of a helicopter rolling in catches the kid's attention, and he looks up at the sky surprised by the random drop in. To his shock, the girl from the park and the old man hop out of the chopper, with the boomer greeting the youth super hyped. Jizu rums to welcome his daughter, making Kyunfan connect the dots and realize the elderly guy is that angry girl's grandpa. That highly respected man is none other than Ye Kongjin, the grand leader of the Ye family, and one of the most OP generals in the whole country. Worried, the casino owner asks why his dad checked out of the hospital so early, but immediately gets scolded by the old man, warning that a total disaster almost went down right there. The general walks up talking about the fate that linked them up again, while his granddaughter explains she was on a call with her grandpa and heard the chaos at her dad's spot. With a super humble vibe, the old man asks the youth to accept the Ye family's genuine apologies, hoping they can start a solid friendship. Following her grandpa's lead, the girl bows deep, clearly embarrassed about the whole park drama from before. Satisfied with that energy, the MC concludes that dealing with military background people is way easier, since they actually recognize and respect real power. Riding the good vibes, Yejezu puts himself entirely at the kids' service and even offers that luxury casino as a formal apology. Turning down the property super chill, Kyun Fan says they're bros now, but mentions that carrying all that physical cash is going to be a bit of a hassle. Meanwhile, inside the main hall, the prep boy complains to the MC's ex-fiancé about how that annoying bug totally ruined their party vibe. Cuddled up with the rich kid, the princess listens to him promise they'll meme on the guy super hard the second casino security tosses him out on the street all bruised up. However, the guests start whispering in pure shock as they watch the youth walk back into the hall completely untouched and radiating main character energy. Flanked by the big boss's security, the cultivator casually orders them to load all his cash into the car, and they instantly obey. Hearing the goons calling the kid sir, the rich duo completely freezes in panic, totally unable to compute that massive plot twist. Strolling casually to the betting table, the ex-hair drops a warning that he already secured his bag and only came back to play his final chip. With a savage smirk on his face, he holds up the dusty marriage contract and stares at his ex-fiancé with absolute disgust. The spoiled princess instantly goes into panic mode when she realizes that document publicly exposes that she and young master son are having a completely unauthorized side hustle. The crowd around them instantly starts spilling the tea about the Zhou family's ungratefulness, recalling they only leveled up in life thanks to the heavy carry from the Chun clan back in the day. Ripping the paper in half without blinking, the MC announces loud and clear that the girl doesn't even have the stats to enter his house and officially uninstalls the engagement. Tossing the shredded pieces in the air like straight garbage, he invites everyone there to witness the moment and says the night's drinks are on him. Humiliated in front of all the elites, the mean girl screams in rage, but her rich plus one quickly dips, saying he doesn't want any aggro from a rejected woman. Desperate, she tries to cling to the prep boy, but gets shoved hard while he calls her useless for trying to scam him with that contract drama. Leaving the ex-fiancé crying on the floor, the kid turns his back and sarcastically mentions he hopes she really enjoyed her little surprise. Walking toward the exit with boss music energy, he reflects that this little show was just the tutorial for his actual revenge arcs. Late afternoon the next day, the youth heads back to his run-down neighborhood, hyped and thinking that the fresh cash is going to guarantee an epic dinner for his parents. From the house window, his mom spots a limited edition imported car pulling up on their street and gets suspicious, knowing their old relatives don't have the budget for something like that. Stepping out of the luxury ride, the school principal shows up flanked by some seriously unhappy goons, getting greeted by the gang leader who calls him brother-in-law. The suit complains that the cringe moment he went through in the classroom turned into such a massive scandal he didn't even have the guts to show up at the casino party last night. Walking up the stairs of the sketchy building, the principal swears he won't let a low-tier student get away with it and plans to deliver a trauma-inducing lesson in front of his whole family. Full of toxicity, he suggests the goons treat the punk as harshly as possible since the Kyun clan lost all their server privileges and influence in the city. Stopping right in front of the old door, the man fixes his suit and declares he's going to teach him the hard way just how brutal and unfair the meta of this world really is. But the second the door swings open, the principal's smile vanishes as he goes face to face with elite military guards standing right in the middle of the living room. Completely lost by that glitch of a scene, the invaders freeze at the door, having zero clue what's going down inside that basic apartment. Sweating bullets, the principal whispers to his brother-in-law, thinking they got the wrong floor and accidentally raided the spawn point of actual army officers. Just then, a familiar voice echoes from the back of the hallway, sarcastically grabbing the attention of the two unwanted guests. With his hands in his pockets, the MC steps out walking super chill and asks why they didn't drop a heads up about the visit. Trying to regain his alpha status, the old suit screams, ordering the kid to summon his parents instantly, so they can all kneel together in front of him. Pointing an angry finger, the educator swears he's going to make the punk beg for mercy for daring to violate the school's terms of service. Wasting zero time, The military guards rush in hard and pin down the entire squad of goons, making the principal screech in terror, begging to be let go. Keeping a rock-solid posture, the troop commander looks straight at the cultivator and asks how he wants to deal with those noisy trolls. Finding this door-delivery hilarious, the youth listens to the officer guarantee that one single command is enough to get the job done on the spot. Pinned to the floor with his face squished, the boomer's eyes pop in pure horror when he realizes those high-tier military guys are taking orders from a basic student. Desperate, the educator tries to flex, screaming that teaming up with some random gang doesn't give the kid the right to clash with his authority. At the kid's request, the soldier lets the suit go, who immediately stands up, dusting off his clothes and bragging about having the backup of the city's biggest financial syndicates. Flashing an arrogant smile, the old man mocks him, thinking the MC ordered his release because he was terrified of his massive network. But shutting down the trash talk instantly, Kyun Fan dashes in a blink and acts with absolute zero hesitation against the loudmouth principal. In complete shock, the gang leader screams in total panic, seeing his relative getting absolutely clapped. Curling up on the floor with zero courage to fight back. Blown away by the kid's ice-cold vibe, the uniformed military guys hype up Master Chun's hardcore attitude with serious respect. Flat on his back, the principal grabs his bruised face and screams in rage, unable to believe that punk had the guts to offend him again. Without an ounce of pity, the kid delivers a brutal reality check to the oppressive boomer, pulling a high-pitched scream of pain that echoes through the whole room. The painful combo makes the suit squirm, while even the hardened guards break a sweat watching that brutal cutscene. Staring at the trash mob at his feet, the MC coldly lists out all the dirty crimes the principal was committing, from embezzling funds to mentally harassing the teachers. With a dark look, the cultivator reveals he knows everything about the humiliation vids the old man secretly leaked, just to simp for the rich folks of the Kyun clan. Hearing his worst secrets being completely exposed, the man goes into shock and stutters, asking how the student downloaded all that data. Trying to take back the controller, the principal spits blood and threatens that one single phone call is enough to end the kid using his old family's influence. Happily playing along, the youth hands his own phone to the boomer and gives him a free pass to call his most OP ally for an immediate COS. Snatching the device desperately, the suit calls the kid a noob for not knowing the second young master of the military. Yi family goes to that exact school. At that exact moment, Yi Jezu walks into the apartment with friendly vibes holding a box, instantly getting recognized by his uniformed nephew. The military commander totally panics hearing his name being thrown around as a threat so casually, and screams begging the kid to ignore the principal's garbage talk. Recognizing the underworld boss at the door, the educator turns pale as a ghost and stammers, having no clue what such an OP character is doing there with them. Catching onto the plot instantly, the mobster clears things up, saying his nephew only studies at that school for the buffed educational stats, and that the Yi family has zero official alliances with them. With reality finally hitting him, the old suit looks around and spirals into pure despair, realizing all those elite guards belong to the untouchable military Yi family. Shook by the scenario, the principal points a finger and questions the boss about why he's protecting a simple discarded son. Having zero patience, Yi Jezu takes a drag of his cigar and drops a heavy threat, warning that giving him a quick game over would be way too nice. Feeling his soul straight up leave his body from sheer terror, the suited boomer agrees on the spot, stuttering in absolute submission. The gang leader falls flat on his back, utterly terrified as he realizes the kid actually unlocked the military faction support. Shaking and sweating cold, the educator stares at the student in horror and begs to know what on earth he did to unlock that achievement. With the most casual vibe ever, the MC replies he just took a quick stroll to the casino and farmed some pocket change. Right then, the suited minions start spawning a literal mountain of premium food onto the family's humble dining table. The kid's parents are entirely lost seeing that luxury feast just drop in front of them out of nowhere. His mom asks what is going on here, while his dad figures the guys came specifically to drop an apology. Crying a river, the principal humiliates himself, confessing they acted like animals by charging the family scam-level fees. His mobster relative also drops to his knees begging for forgiveness, while the mom thinks the amount of cash they returned looks super sus. Taking the wheel, Yi Jezu guarantees the parents that the evidence of the crimes is solid and his family will make sure the banhammer drops. Chilling his parents out, Kyun Fan states they don't need to stress about school drama ever again. Swapping topics super fast, the cultivator asks the mob boss how those business collabs they plotted are going. The dad drops massive thanks for the financial carry, but the underworld leader humbly replies that the two families are officially bros now. Yi Jezu invites the kid for a private chat, explaining his uncle prepped a premium meal to celebrate. Walking down the hall, the suit lets him know he already wiped all the vids and logs of the brawl that went down at school. Handing over some vials, the cultivator gives instructions for Old Man Yi to take those medicinal herbs to buff his HP. Satisfied with the loyalty flex, the kid trusts his parents' defense to the goons so he can focus on his own strats. Shifting to a serious tone, the mobster reveals his family has a massive favor to ask the young master. Getting the green light to speak, Jisoo explains the clan deals with military forces and ends up crossing paths with martial artists. He drops the lore that 9 years ago, the family almost got completely wiped out by an insanely dangerous mercenary. The boss goes by the name Lin Xiaosheng, a guy who supposedly hit the absolute level cap of martial arts in the country. Back then, the military handed the villain a 10-year ban, but they know he's been holding a grudge and is coming back soon for a revenge arcs. Catching the drift, Qin guesses they want him as a heavy-hitting ally, but the boss corrects him, calling him a guardian deity. Offering total submission, the suit guarantees the whole family is ready to act as a stepping stone to boost the kid's future. Finding that bold pitch amusing, the ex-heir casually mentions he really rocks with all of their energy. With a solid handshake, the two lock in the deal and promise to co-op from that moment on. Later, back in his dark room, the MC sits on the bed and focuses all his aura to grind hardcore. Holding a glowing talisman, he reflects that he'll have basically zero competition on Earth once he hits the master tier. Hyped for the next phases, the youth sparks a golden fire using his fingers and tosses the little paper into the air. Watching the magic flames dance in his hand, he preps to initiate the crazy complex alchemy process. In a swift move, he throws the medicinal herbs into the mystic fire, commanding the reaction to trigger instantly. During the burn, he notes that basic plants have low energy stats, but the quantity makes up for it to craft entry-level pills. With the ingredients floating around him, the kid complains that this starter fire is way too weak and inefficient for the long run. Wasting zero time, he swallows one of the freshly crafted pills, knowing they'll get the job done for his current build. Sitting in a deep meditation pose, the cultivator activates the legendary blue firmament technique to absorb the energy. With the mystic aura rushing frantically, he focuses on condensing all that spiritual power straight into his own body. Popping his eye open with an intense glow, the MC declares he's finally tempering his mortal flesh. The very next day, the youth pulls up to the Ye family mansion looking like an absolute boss and gets hit with bows from all the staff. Walking through the luxury hallways, he's greeted by the old general who is radiating hype to see him again. The boomer gives heartfelt thanks for yesterday's meds, saying even the docs were mined, blown by the rapid HP regen. Staying humble, Qin mentions that pill was just to buff the old man's body for today's actual patch update. Trusting the kid fully, the general's granddaughter says she's leaving her grandpa in good hands and dips from the hall with the goons. With the room completely empty, the ex-heir points to the chair and politely asks the old man to take a seat. As the room door clicks shut, the MC does some internal reflecting, remembering the name of a young guy called Yi Hoxuan. Channeling blue energy into the old man's back, the kid remembers that was the only rich kid who actually tried to help him back in the day. In a painful flashback, he relives the rainy day when he got completely bullied by a squad of street toughs. Dropped on the floor completely beaten, he saw a kid in a red track jacket step in front of the attackers to defend him. The leader of the troublemakers, son of some city VIP, mocked the hero, saying the abandoned trash dirtied his fresh kicks. The bully demanded the kid kneel to pay off the debt, but the jacket guy offered to cover the cost for him. Completely broken by despair, the old Qin caved to the pressure and kneeled in the puddle without fighting back. Trying to pull him up, the savior told him to get some backbone, but the kid cried, saying he couldn't rely on that carry forever. Pushing his ally away, the scared kid argued he'd just take double the damage later, pulling cruel laughs from the thugs. Going back to humiliating himself, he heard the youth ask if that submission would actually guarantee peace in the long run. The track jacket guy got a totally frustrated look, annoyed at the cowardice of a kid who refused to fight back. Turning his back in the heavy rain, the hero walked off, stating that someone who doesn't try to save themselves doesn't deserve to be saved. Snapping back to the present, the cultivator admits the fear of getting his parents targeted stopped him from accepting that genuine help. With his eye glowing bright, he regrets that after that sad event, the two of them never crossed paths again in his previous playthrough. Wrapping up the magic healing on the general, the youth concludes fate is super ironic for grouping them up again like this. Shaking off the fatigue, the grandpa stands up, stretching his arms, amazed to feel like he just aged a few decades. Handing over a green vial, the kid lets him know there are a few more pills in there to buff the rest of the family. Without charging a single cent, the MC flashes a friendly smile, claiming they're totally cinced up now. Back in the hall, The granddaughter gives her grandpa a massive hug and cries happy tears seeing him get fully cured in a flash. Walking the youth to the exit, Yajizu swears absolute loyalty, but the kid plays it off guaranteeing it was an easy fix. Using the good vibes, the cultivator asks his ally to scout out a spot rich in natural energy for his morning grinds. Right after, he lists a bunch of ultra-rare herbs, making the suit speed. Write everything down to not waste a second. Switching gears, the kid says he's going to go back to attending classes to keep his mom chill, getting a promise of total stealth from the mobster. Taking a drag of his cigar, Jizu suggests throwing a massive party to celebrate the server wipe of the school's admin. He explains that all the students and teachers are dying to figure out who the OP hero was that saved the school. Dodging the flashy party with a wave of his hand, the youth suggests that some kind of chill event to de-stress would be a way better play. A few days later, a huge banner is hung at the school entrance hyping up a mega autumn sports festival. Out on the field, students carry water boxes while complaining it feels super weird for this kind of event to be taken seriously. Looking at the packed courtyard, some students gossip and thank the heavens the new admins dropped such an epic day off. Jogging easily on the track, the cultivator mentally celebrates for successfully building the base of his infernal suppressor physique. While running on the track, the MC realizes he's going to need way more spiritual energy to level up his cultivation base. Up in the bleachers, the young Xiaozhuan is on the phone with her dad, confirming she's in the same class now and hyping up the kids' looks. With the sports event about to kick off, the cultivator gets ready calmly while listening to the PA announcement. Just then, he spots a classmate walking his way across the grass field. Rolling up, the young Yahakshuan brings up the rumors about Kunfan wiping the casino security and asks if he's actually that broken. The starting gun echoes across the running track, giving zero time for answers. The ex-hair takes off at a terrifying speed, leaving everyone absolutely mind-blown. During the tennis match, he hits a smash so brutal it literally explodes the racket and cracks the court floor. Over at the long jump, the kid builds momentum and flies through the air like it's nothing. Sticking the landing perfectly, he leaves the judges shook by shattering a world record right on the spot. Riding the momentum into basketball, the MC dunks the ball with so much raw force he completely shatters the backboard. Scratching the back of his neck surrounded by glass shards, he figures he needs to nerf himself a bit to stop drawing so much aggro. In the crowd, the students lose their minds screaming that his stats are straight up impossible. Watching everything from afar, a mysterious girl keeps her focus strictly on the youth's skills. In a random corner, a suited guy reports over the comms that the perimeter is secure and orders the units to prep for action. The tournament moves over to the school's massive swimming pool. Hopping out of the water after securing first place, Kinfan takes a deep breath to chill. Up in the stands, a squad of girls is completely mesmerized by his athletic build. Annoyed by the fangirl screaming, a Xiaoshuan crosses her arms while the old general just watches the scene finding it hilarious. The boomer proudly comments that insane talent like that would never stay locked in such a tiny map. Right behind, Hakshuan also gets out of the pool totally drained in mind, blown by his classmates' pace. Drying his face, he hypes up the MC's insane performance. The rich kid throws the towel over his shoulder and asks why someone with such crazy stats got bullied so hard in the past. Confused by the massive update, he admits it feels like he's looking at a completely different person. Reaching his hand out to his old ally, the cultivator tells him he can think of him as a Kunfan who literally respawned from hell. Suddenly, the schoolgirls from the bleachers swarm the edge of the pool to hype up the champ. Surrounding the kid instantly, they shower the youth with compliments and ask if they can add him as a friend. A group of students in the back gossips about the massive plot twist of the abandoned kid who became an influential billionaire. Spotting Hakshuan, the girls also try to pull the Ye family young master into the chat. Feeling suffocated in the middle of all that chaos, the ex-hair politely asks them to make way so he can get out. Startled by the sudden request, the girls back up a little intimidated. Wasting zero time, the duo sprints across the courtyard to dodge all that aggro. Watching the scene from afar, Xiao Xuan has no idea why they're speedrunning out of there. Her grandpa lets out a contagious laugh, totally loving the chaotic youthful energy. Away from the sunlight, shady mercenaries creep through the halls setting up a stealthy ambush. Heading down the stairs, the tactical squad advances sneakily through the building. Over the comms, they get the target's coordinates and direct orders to capture him alive. While the teens walk through the second floor, one of the goons violently kicks open a classroom door. Looking at the armed squad blocking the path, Kunfan sarcastically points out his spider sense was right. Haoxuan drops into a combat stance, suggesting they wipe out those invaders before the break is over. Suddenly, a scream of pain echoes from the room right next door. One of the mercenaries gets launched against the door with max force. Stepping past the dropped enemies, The boys head down the hall while the MC hypes up his bro's combat skills. The ex-hair notes the mob density of invaders scattered around the school is pretty high. Checking the clock, he says he needs to wrap up this server wipe fast, so he doesn't hold up the afternoon brackets. Down at the school cafeteria, the vibe is still super chill among the students. Enjoying her lunch, the young Xiao Xuan mentions her grandpa had to dip to deal with some work stuff. She quickly spaces out, remembering the cultivator's OP physique at the pool. Trying to hide her blush, the girl reminds herself she needs to keep solid rep with her family's savior. Grabbing her phone, she decides to call Hakshuan to track down their location. Nearby, a mercenary stealth cover gets blown when his radio starts ringing non-stop. Before he can even react, the thug gets jump, scared by a dark figure spawning right behind him. Without a chance to block, the invader gets stealth, KO'd in the blink of an eye. The action shifts to the massive indoor court of the sports gym. Surrounded by heavily armed goons, the Yi family leaders face the boss fight head-on. The mercenary leader mocks the general, implying the old man got nerfed and lost his edge. Keeping his absolute alpha stance, the boomer asks if their 10-year peace treaty already expired. The criminal snaps back, saying they return to collect on their old debts no matter the cost. Yejizu cuts off the threat, calling the crew a bunch of loyal dogs who betrayed their own server. Deflecting the roast, the invading leader claims they just run quests for whoever drops the biggest bag. A sniper rifle's laser sight locks directly onto the targets inside the gym. Knowing he's got the tactical high ground, the mercenary keeps a stance of absolute superiority. Showing zero fear, the old general keeps radiating a crazy, intimidating aura. The criminal holds his radio and praises the school's security, but throws it in their faces that everyone there is a hostage. He turns up the heat on the threat, promising it just takes one command to give the family's heirs a game over. Jizu counters the bait instantly, telling the thug to try his luck. Super confident, the mercenary clicks the radio to sync up with his sniper squad. However, the comms stay dead for a few seconds before transmitting a completely unrecognized voice. Chill footsteps start echoing from the bleachers, grabbing the attention of everyone in the room. Qinfan spawns and walking super slow, messing with the confiscated radio, looking totally bored. One of the goons panics, warning the boss that all the other squads got completely wiped out. General Yi explains they used the invaders' own spawn point into the country as bait to herd them all into one spot. The cultivator finishes the explainer, saying it was insanely easy to hunt down all the disguised intruders around the school. Completely shook, the mercenary leader refuses to accept his master plan crashed so fast. Unleashing a flaming blue aura, the kid announces the tutorial is over and calls the enemies out for the real boss fight.